that I hadn't done since I was in high school. As part of this, I started doing some segmented wood turning. And the biggest problem I had was making, long thin strips on the bandsaw. And the problem is when you're working on the bandsaw, trying to cut long thin strips, you're pushing the wood against the fence and pushing it into the blade. And when you're cutting a long piece, you keep switching your hands, to reposition them. And when you do that, you get burn marks or cut marks in the wood, so you don't get a smooth surface. So when I was making pieces like this, I was cutting twice the thickness of wood that I needed, because I had to run it through the planer or the drum sander to get it the right thickness. The other issue I had was the smoothness of the cuts and the safety issues. The other issue is how you can cut something like this, a round piece of wood. You've got to glue it to a board or something and then pass it through the bandsaw. So based on that, over the last, actually 2 years, I've been developing some jigs for my bandsaw. One of the first ones is this. This is one for doing long strips. Now it's on the table on my bandsaw, and I can do as a rail, a carriage. I can cut long strips of wood, but it has no indexing system. Everything was done manually. I have to position the fence in the right position and clamp it to the table. This was my second system I built. It's a smaller system, and I really designed this for doing the smaller pieces of wood. But again, it had no indexing system, and this actually clamped to the table with one of these mag clamps. So instead of using the C clamp, I actually used magnetic clamps to move it back and forth. But we needed an indexing system, and so at that point I turned it over to my company, and we have a couple of really good machinist engineers. They took my ideas and concepts, improved on them, and developed a new system, which I'll show here. I have a video system which shows the operation of the system and how it works. The Accu-Slice is an accessory for the bandsaw to permit the cutting of thin pieces of wood safely, accurately, and smoothly. The wood to be cut is mounted on a carriage and rail system, much like that used in a sawmill. This permits the cutting of thin pieces of wood, flat boards, irregular shapes, and even round discs such as that used in segmented wood turning, and at the same time keeping your hands away from the blade, making it a much safer way to cut those thin, small pieces of wood. The resulting cuts are dimensionally accurate, and the cuts are very smooth. The cuts are smooth because you don't have the normal pressure and feed operations you would have in normal feed operations on a bandsaw. This is the 6th prototype of the Accu-Slice. The final production model is in development and be ready within the next 2 months. The Accu-Slice consists of 2 components. It consists of a rail system with an indexer and a carriage assembly with roller bearings that guide on the rail. The rail index system mounts into the bandsaw table into the miter groove. It locks in position using 3 quarter-turn locks on the miter bar. The indexing system is graduated in 5,000th increments. Each revolution of this indexing knob moves the carriage 50,000ths of an inch. The carriage system consists of a 90-degree elbow plate, on the bottom of which are mounted either 3 or 4 roller bearings. These bearings are adjustable to allow not only the easy sliding of the plate on and off the guide rail, but also tighten it up if it would have future wear. Also on this plate is mounted a sacrificial fence. This fence is screwed onto the angle bracket. It can either be plastic or wood or any other material, just to give you a fence that you're not cutting into the angle plate inadvertently. The wood to be cut is then mounted to this plate using either double-sided tape or hot melt glue. Okay. After the wood has been mounted to the fence with double-sided tape, first of all, the index knob is set to 0 degrees, just to give you a starting point. Next, the 2 large knobs are loosened, and the rail is moved such that you're going to be cutting off usually between 10 and 20 thousandths of the end of the board. This is just to give you a nice square end as a starting point to give you the first cutting surface for your piece of wood. The knobs are then locked in position. Make sure these knobs are also locked, and we're ready to cut off this thin section of wood. After the board's been squared, you're ready to do your first cut to make your first slice of wood. You would first of all loosen these knobs, these locking knobs just slightly, an eighth of a turn or so, and then turn this knob one full turn, which is 50 thousandths of an inch, which is the kerf of the blade. Then if I wanted a piece of wood 50 thousandths thick, I would rotate this another full turn. This will give me a piece of wood 50 thousandths inch thick. And then lock the two knobs in position, and now we're ready to run this through the saw. There we have our first slice of wood, 50 thousandths of an inch thick, cut smoothly and cleanly. Also notice in operation my hands were back here, far away from the blade, so my hands weren't anywhere near the blade. Much safer way to cut pieces of wood. To repeat the operation, do the same thing again. Release this, release these two knobs, rotate my knob 2 full revolutions, lock it in position, and we're ready to run again. Now we just cut our second slice of wood, again 50 thousandths of an inch thick, the same exact dimension as the previous one. In fact, these two pieces are reproducible and within 2 thousandths of an inch thickness of one another. Now if I want to get another piece of wood, say I wanted a piece 25 thousandths thick, all I have to do again is rotate my knob 360 degrees for 50 thousandths, the kerf of the blade, and then just go on my indexing 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 thousandths, lock it in position, and we're ready to run. And that produces a piece of wood 25 thousandths inch thick. I've been able to cut down to a minimum of 10 thousandths thickness on the wood. You go below 10 thousandths, the wood actually warps because of the heat of the blade. So 10 thousandths is about the limit for thickness of wood. But I don't know who want to get anything thinner than 20 thousandths. slab, 3 alternating colors of wood, and then we rotate it and get the unique pattern.
And what are you gluing up with? What glue are you using?
So I like to use Typon. Using Typon extend, I like because it gives you a little longer glue up top. Like this bowl here was made from these rings. 3 alternating woods, big slab, we sliced it off, rotated the pieces, and then glued it together to get the pattern. But I showed some of the last meeting. I showed some of the stuff I did. This is one of the eggs I made. I made a bunch of eggs, different sizes, a bunch of bowls. And the other unique thing I did, I actually made, bottom bowls. Yeah. In fact, I did a video, which is not actually on the website. I just did on how to make these bottom plates. And again, the unique features are, first of all, it's a much safer way to cut your wood because your fingers don't get near the blade. The wood cuts much smoother than you get doing manually, since you're not having a hand motion movement of the blade. And you can cut small pieces. In fact, I even cut some jewelry pieces, such as that. We're looking to make different carriages for it. Well, first of all, the rails are going to be 3 foot long, 48, 5 foot, 6 foot. So you can interchange different rails with different lengths. If you want to make small boards, you can use a long rail, or if you're just doing small stuff, a smaller rail will work nicely. Then we're also making different carriages. The carriage I showed, which is this one, is for doing straight pieces like this. We're looking to make a flat plate for doing different kinds of setups. And we're looking to make longer plates for doing longer pieces of wood. So there'll be a variety of carriages. But you see how nice that slides on the rail. It goes on real nice and smooth.
When will they be available and how much?
We're looking to have it available by December. We're in the final prototype. The rail, we're having extruded. We had about 1,000 pounds of aluminum to make the rail. And we ordered that, I think, about 6 weeks ago. It's supposed to be delivered in the next 2 weeks. So as soon as that rail comes in, we'll make the final prototype. That final prototype will have a 3-foot carriage. We're trying to decide what size tables this will fit. Right now, it fits the Jet and the Laguna. I know Matt has a slightly bigger table, which is a 19-inch table. So we're going to fit that also. And we may have to make additional models for larger tables.
Which jet?
I have a 14-inch Jet. My Laguna is a 14-inch, but the Laguna table is an inch bigger than the Jet table. So we're probably going to make this, probably fit a 20-inch table, is my guess right now. That's still in discussions. And we're looking to make some minor modifications, things like, I got round head screws. I think flat head screws would look better. A few cosmetic changes we're going to make too. And again, we're looking for suggestions. Use suggestions on things you think would look better, work better. We're a small company. We can do things quickly and easily. And it's been a lot of fun. I've organized for about 2 years. The different prototypes were done, in my own shop. I got to the indexing system, had to go to our machine shop, and I got some really talented machinists who were able to design this indexing system.
What's the cost going to be?
The estimated cost right now is between $350 and $400. It sounds like a lot, but we've invested $25,000 in this already. We haven't sold anything yet. And in addition, we start doing some marketing. The cost comes up quite a bit. We're kind of budgeting $50,000 total for this project.
I thought you were going to be a little bit higher than that, actually.
I'm looking forward as like the max.
No, I think it's a workable price for what it can do.
Mm-hmm.
The time it saves.
It's a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun playing with doing some unique patterns, doing some nice patterns and bowls and eggs. So you cut angles with it. The one jig we're going to have will be able to do angles. That's what I'm going to do. Let's see, this was cut an angle.
That's the one nice thing about this is these surfaces are smooth enough. You don't need sand. You can glue these directly with no sand. In fact, the only sanding I do is on the edge, get rid of the fuzzies on the edge. That's the only sanding I do on. This is an example of an egg ready to be assembled. You know, with a top piece and then the various segments which were cut in various stages. I use thin pieces for the center pieces. Maybe I'll throw one of these, disc or something in the middle. So you can make all kind of unique designs. A lot of fun, it really is. And doing, creating stuff like this, where this is one piece of wood, just cut a bunch of strips, rotate them, and create a nice pattern like this. Or another strip, again, have that one piece of wood in there, cut, and then rotate, give you a unique pattern. So the sky's the limit what you can do. It's a lot of fun.
What are you cutting your individual wedge shape pieces?
I have a jig I made myself with my table saw. I originally had one of the Adobe systems, but it wasn't accurate enough, so I made my own, which is more accurate.
I've got a sled here that'll show you what I think is the best way to do it. How Jerry Bennett does it. Some information on that.
So I'll leave these up here. If anybody wants to look at me for the questions, I can answer your questions.
Do you upgrade your guides on the bandsaws, or are they just the out-of-the-box bandsaw guides?
They're standard. Well, my Laguna has ceramic guides, which are pretty nice. They look good.
Are they like Carter guides or anything that you
My jet, I put Carter guides on my jet.
You're using either a new blade or a sharp blade.
I've been using the same blade for about a month now, and I've been doing lots and lots of work. You don't have to worry about the drift. Tell me advanced I used to drift. With this, because the wood is held firmly, and the bandsaw, it's not pulling the wood. The wood is fixed, so you don't see the drift. So the blade can be up a little bit. It's not going to matter.
Any other questions? John, thank you very much.